And this is Teen Tifilin, and you're watching my YouTube channel Insani Itihat, which aims to invoke a little bit of humanity in all of us through awareness and understanding. So today, again, I would like to talk about my very inspiring, amazing, and not to mention very good-looking Rabbi. And for those who want to know who he is and exactly how good looking he is, you guys should go and watch his debate on Sulha, the channel. It's a debate regarding Zionist versus anti-Zionist. Of course, he's the Zionist. And there are two Zacharias in that debate. So the Zachariah that I am referring to is corner. And although we mustn't discriminate on good looks, the other two participants of that same debate, Arthur and Dr. Foster, are also amazingly good-looking human beings. Especially they're doing wonderful work through their channel. Arthur with his channel Sulha. I would highly recommend to subscribe, and also Dr. Foster has a channel called Zachary Foster. I'm not exactly sure. You can check in that debate's description box. There is a link. So both of them are also doing amazing job, but obviously are more inspired and amazed and motivated by the corner Zachariah. So he actually gives me the weekly Torah sessions on the weekly Torah portions. And this week we studied together the Torah portion of Vayeshev. And he gave me two very amazing insight to the whole story of that Torah portion, where we're continuing with Yaakov and his family going onwards after returning back to Isaac. Yaakov comes from his father-in-law's home, comes back to his father and the land of Israel, and then settles, and then that whole thing. But I would specifically talk about the concept that stayed with me when my rabbi sort of was talking about. It's a 1 hour session, and it was just so deep, and there were two very strong and distinctive concept that I sort of got from it. And it's so amazing that this amazing young man, I mean only 31, and he's just so passionate about the whole thing. And when he talks in the session, I make sure that I listen to it and I start processing and downloading whatever he says. And after that session, the entire day, I mean literally the 24 hours, I just keep on repeating those words in whatever he has said in that session. The entire day I kind of repeat that in my head and try to get most out of it. And I've seen, I mean all throughout, we've been studying for so long now, and he gives me so much that for the entire week I sort of extract so much deep spiritual concept out of that, and he does it so effortlessly and in a casual conversation that it just inspires me so much. So the first concept that he gave was regarding how Rebecca and Isaac sort of raised, they had twins, Esau and Yaakov, and they raised both of their children, and they saw in their children their elder siblings. For example, Isaac saw a reflection of this personality and reflection of his elder brother Ishmael, whom he sort of looked up to, and saw him as an inspirational go-to person. And also Rebecca sort of raised and saw her brother Laban in Yaakov, and this we can trace as in like Rebecca goes out to fetch water and stuff, and his brother is at home. So this I mean, the person living in the tent sort of concept can be related to Laban also, and then Yaakov also. And then Yaakov has this inherent loyalty and love for Hashem, but also ironically Laban has this love and loyalty towards his pagan gods. I mean, we look back when Yaakov and his family is leaving the house of Laban, and Rachel actually stole the idols of his father in the hopes that his father would not worship them, or I mean, some can interpret it as she took those idols for good luck, because she wanted to sort of have the birthright or something. Some have interpreted, some rabbis have interpreted that she, like Yaakov, she also somehow wanted to steal the birthright by stealing those idols from her father's house. But I feel that Rachel probably would have stole those idols so that she could just get those idols away from her father. And maybe all these years, I mean 20 years or so, Yaakov and his families sort of lived in Laban's house, and probably Yaakov would have mentioned Hashem and Hashem's presence and this divine entity in his home. So probably Rachel would have thought, now she would just get these idols and somehow throw them somewhere, I don't know. And and then his father would just be would know that there is this higher power, or he would make a link with Hashem somehow, and then after they're gone, he's also a righteous man and turns to Hashem. But I mean, the loyalty that Laban has towards his idol, that he curses that whoever has stolen my idols would die at young, and he should die young, and without knowing that it could be his own daughters. But he assumed that it is Yaakov who sort of stole his idols for some reason that he never likes or so. But yeah, I mean, if we see Rebecca sort of raised a son who is this loyal and who is religious some way. His brother was religious in the adultery way, but the son that she raised was more towards Hashem, more towards righteousness. But the amount of loyalty that Yaakov and Laban has towards their respective gods, is amazing. And then the deceiving nature that Yaakov deceived his elder brother to take the blessing, and then Laban deceived Yaakov for the on the betrothal of his daughters. I mean, and if you ask Laban, he would justify his deceiving way of giving the first daughter to Yaakov first, and then the second also, because he was like, I mean, it will be disgraceful that I would marry off my younger daughter before my elder daughter, and it will hurt my daughter. So he was completely justifying his deceiving. And if he would have said to Yaakov that please marry my elder daughter first and then second, probably Yaakov would have refused, because he loved Rachel and he only wanted to marry her. He was not interested in Leah. And the reason that he could have said that, okay, 7 years Yaakov had worked for Rachel and for that marriage, and in that 7 years period there was no other proposal for Leah, and maybe Leah was destined to marry Yaakov. So Laban could have just completely reasonably justified his deceiving of his son-in-law Yaakov. And if we see, Yaakov could have easily justified his stealing of blessing, because his parents were a little annoyed by Esau's wives, his behaviors. He was a bit ruthless. Okay, Isaac loved his game and his agility and his, this macho, macho attitude. But also, yeah, Isaac had this hope that, if we think in that perspective, that if Isaac wanted to bless Esau, maybe it was for the reason that, okay, my son is ruthless, he's a bit short-tempered, he is this masculine, and he's this macho, bravo kind of guy, but if I just bless him with my blessing, he would be a little tamed, and he would have a bit of kindness in him, and a bit of, a bit of control, so to speak, of his wildness in a way. So maybe he wanted to bless Esau, that he had hope with him, and he knew that, there is, after all, it's my son, Esau, and Rebecca is a righteous woman too, and we have done a decent job, and only if I just give him this blessing, he would be a little better man, but of course a little, agiletic and a little powerful, and maybe he would get more out of that blessing with his stature. He's not maybe charismatic, but he has this power to have this blessing from Hashem and be that chosen one. But then again, it's not a fight between a husband and wife, but it's maybe a perspective of two parents seeing how their children would turn out to be, and then they also see their elder siblings who inspired them and whom they also look up to. Like, for example, Isaac sort of saw Ishmael in a very positive light, that it was Sarah who thought that Ishmael could be a bad influence, but it could be just that, what if one fine day Isaac and Ishmael were playing and somebody just messed up with Isaac, and Isaac just called upon to Ishmael, and Ishmael just came and he beat the hell out of this guy who was beating up Ishmael, and then he sort of had illicit relations with him, and then Sarah saw, oh, okay, Ishmael is the one who is violent, who is beating up this boy who is messing up with Isaac. He is like a bit of a Rasha or something. So he is not a good, fighting and all that, it's not a good thing to, that my son Isaac would look up to, that this is how you deal with people who trouble you. So maybe out of love, out of, this insecurity that, this here is a elder stepbrother, who is a bit of violent and this. Maybe Ishmael would have done this out of the love of Isaac. And if you see the Isaac's perspective is that, oh, my big brother is going to watch out for me, and he's going to protect me, and he's this macho and amazing and this and that. But as a mother's perspective, it's like, oh my God, and now this step brother of my son is going to teach him these violent ways to deal with the world, and I have different ideas for my son. So I think this sort of thing that I got, and it is such a wonderful perspective, that this is how my rabbi sort of said that we have to see things in different perspective and different angles also. So in this entire scenario, we can't say Ishmael is wrong, or Isaac is wrong, or Sarah is wrong, or Rebecca is wrong, Laban is wrong. You cannot distinguish between how the story goes, but the entire story of Torah sort of gives us this blueprint of how we in our daily life conduct ourselves. How, being the eldest sister for my younger siblings, although I have elder half brothers and half sisters, but in my household I'm the eldest, and then I have a younger sister, and then younger brother, and then again a younger sister. So I know how they would look up to me. A very recent incident which sort of hit me to make this video was yesterday. I had eaten something with dairy product, and then my brother said, okay, let's go out for dinner, and you guys shouldn't cook dinner, and we will be going out. And there is this famous dish, it's a traditional Balochi dish, it's called saji. So it is made out of mutton meat and rice, and it's very traditional Balochi dish. So he said, well, we are going to eat that for dinner, so don't cook it. So then I told my sister, but I have eaten this dairy thing, so I can't eat it. I have to wait like 6 hours, and then I will be able to, eat this dish. So I perhaps take sandwich or something. So you guys should just, both of you can eat that, and I'll eat a homemade sandwich or something. And then she tells me, but no, if you eat dairy before meat, it's only 2 to 3 hours gap you need. You don't need 6 hours gap. And I was like, that hit me. And I was like, I'm the one who's following kosher, restrictions. And here's my younger sister who is observing it. And sometimes she actually follows me as well and, asks questions, okay, how does this happen? And why do they do that? And why? So it's sort of hit me that, our younger siblings sort of look up to us, and they notice what we do and how we do. As my sister, somehow she knew, I forgot that, if we eat meat, then we have to wait 6 hours, 8 hours, or 12 hours to have the dairy. But if we eat the dairy first, we have to only give a gap of 2 or 3 hours before we can eat a meat dish. And she noticed that, and she remembered that, and she sort of corrected me. And this is something that I could have related to what my rabbi had talked about, how he related that, Rivka was sort of inspired and, have this the deceiving nature of Yaakov, which Rebecca sort of supported, actually was inspired by her brother Laban. And then Isaac sort of related to Ishmael, of his masculine and this macho heroic nature, and he saw that in Esau. And he sort of course, Ishmael was sent away by Sarah, and who knows, Isaac, and a only child to his parents, maybe perhaps missed Ishmael and his, ways, how these two boys would have had a relationship with each other, how they would have played, and whatever they did. And who knows, maybe Isaac seriously missed Ishmael and his company. And maybe, it could, one can say, of course, it would have been a bad influence in a way that, Ishmael, with his heroism and machoism, could have turned Isaac into someone like that. But then again, as youngsters, as teenagers, we have this amazing bond with our siblings. And no matter how difficult they are and how different they are from us, we kind of understand them and look up to them. And that somehow I somehow kind of felt resonated with my younger sister, that she understood what I was doing and what was important for me, this kosher and this everything. And there is another point that my rabbi sort of gave me with his amazing sheer, should I say, because he's a rabbi, to me at least. So he gave me this another point which I would like to talk separately in other video, but this I wanted to put in up in regards to this sibling love, this sibling connection that I got from my rabbi, which was amazing. And I, in the end, I would like you guys to watch the debate on Sulha in which he participated. Very nice, very great points. There were actually 2 debates, so you can check it out in the Sulha channel. Do subscribe to Sulha. Do subscribe Dr. Zachariah Foster's channel. Do not agree with Zachariah Foster because really some of his points are really not nice, and I'd recommend, and personally, as an elder, I'm sure I'm older than him, so as an older sister, I think I would like to wish him and recommend that he would get someone someone Arab, Palestinian, Muslim girl as a spouse. I mean, you just hear his Arabic accent and his views on Palestine, and I mean, if I had a daughter, I would have literally said, this is the kind, if I was a Palestinian and I had a daughter, and I would tell my daughter, honey, this is the kind of boy I would like you to bring home, and say, mommy, this is the guy I would get married, and I would say yes, and convince your father. But seriously, amazing human. To listen to whatever he has to say. Do not agree with him, please. But even if you agree with him, I mean, it's a perspective. Like just I said, I mean, in the context, just like Rabbi said, that in this whole story of Laban and Rebecca, you cannot find who is right, who is wrong. It's just perspective, and how, I mean, it's just amazing how Torah teaches you life lessons which can be implicable in even our own lives in the 21st century, and how profoundly they sort of interpret our lives, that how should we see things in different perspective, in different angles, and try to make a sense of the whole thing, of the whole situation holistically, rather than just see things in our 2 eyes, in our one directional perspective. So this is something that I got from this, and wishing Dr. Zachariah Foster to meet some really good-looking Palestinian Muslim girl, and have a wonderful relationship with them, because I don't think with the views like that any hardcore Zionist Israeli woman or even Jewish woman you can get. Or maybe, I mean, I'm maybe bullshitting. There are many Jewish Israeli women who think just like Dr. Zachariah Foster, so I'm just kidding. Don't worry, you all Palestinian Muslim mothers, your daughters aren't going anywhere. Just relax, it's a joke. By the way, I just convinced my younger sister for him, and I just asked her that, promise me that you would change his views and make him a good Jewish boy and hardcore Zionist, then I can allow you to marry him. And she saw this one video where Dr. Zachary Foster was showing his teen picture where he was wearing a tefillin. That was a very cute picture. Zachary Foster, Dr. Zachary Foster, if you're watching this, very cute picture. Tefillin when you were a teenager, very good. Try that. Try to fill in right now. I mean, like, as you are. It's not that bad. Come on. I mean, there are hardcore religious people who make us disgusted on a lot of things, but it's okay. They're just people. I have believed so far in the very short period of time that I've started actually studying Torah and having this session with my rabbi. I mean, this is the connection that you make with Hashem. You can make that connection through a person, but again, that connection is very individual and private. So my advice as an elder sister to Dr. Zachariah Foster would be, try to make a one-on-one, connection with Hashem. And who knows, you might be wearing the tefillin and making a picture and finding it quite exciting and soothing and, spiritual, connecting with Hashem. And it's not bad to be religious, or if you're not religious. I mean, it's not bad to be religious, or it's not bad to be non-religious. As long as you're a positive person, you're a good human, you're fine. Your purpose is fulfilled. But I would like to see Dr. Zachariah Foster wearing the tefillin just like he was wearing when he was a teenager. But anyway, wishing Dr. Zachariah Foster, of course, my very good-looking Rabbi, and everyone who's watching this video, very, very good luck in whatever you guys are doing and whatever you guys are going to do. Wishing you all the best, and wishing you to see this holistic perspective on life and not this one-dimensional perspective. This is a gist of what I understood from the lecture that my rabbi has given me. And there is this very strong another aspect which I wanted to talk about in this video, but the video is just too long. So let's make another video in regards to that concept, and I'm sure you guys would love that too. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I am trying to be funny, and I am actually sounding funny. And if I have offended anyone, especially mothers of the Muslim, Palestinian, Arab young girls whom I have recommended Dr. Zachariah Foster, I'm really sorry, mums, and I'm sorry any of the Palestinian Muslim girls. I mean, come on. Dr. Zachariah Foster is very nice. He has a doctorate in Near Eastern Studies. It's not a bad recommendation, by the way. But even then, if I have offended you, I'm really sorry. Okay? So take care until the next time I see you. Okay?